If you can't imagine your dreams coming true with your eyes closed, how much harder is it going to be to reach those goals and dreams with your eyes wide open?
Mm.
So figure out what it is. If you don't know where your proverbial land of milk and honey is, don't complain if you arrive at the land of heartaches and headaches. And that's what happened for so many people. We all know what the proverbial land of milk and honey is. Sometimes it's some great destination for us. But if you don't know where that's at, it's easy to get for the wind to be in your face and move you in a different direction.
Welcome to Faith Over Addiction podcast, where the chains of fixing and striving are broken and joy is rediscovered in Christ. You are here because you know there's more for you, a life beyond addiction's chaos, rooted in God's peace and promises. This is the place where Christian women like you learn to release the weight of fixing and striving and instead lean into God's strength to create a home filled with love, grace, and hope. She is clothed with strength and dignity. Proverbs 31:25. That's you. You may not feel like it yet, but you are stronger than you know. And God has so much more for you than carrying someone else's addiction. Here, we'll uncover how to set healthy boundaries with love and a little humor. Find resilience and grace in the messy moments of life. Celebrate small victories and embrace joy like never before. Lean into God's promises for restoration and strength because He's not done with your story or your loved ones. This is your invitation to rise up, embrace your worth in God's kingdom, and take back what's been stolen by addiction: your peace, your joy, your future. Your faith is the foundation, and your boundaries are the bridge, and God's truth is your guide. I'm Tanya Gioia, your host and fellow traveler on this journey through the chaos of addiction. I'm here to cheer you on, equip you with tools that work, and share the truth that's changed my life. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Together, we'll uncover how to create safe, loving space for healing, starting with your own heart and home. By setting boundaries, trusting God's plan, and embracing His truth, you can reclaim your joy, your peace, and your family's future. Then you will be able to stand firm for your family and legacy as a kingdom daughter, a woman who can laugh at the days to come, knowing her identity is secure in Christ. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and get comfortable. Let's walk this journey together. We're about to take back what's been stolen, create a safe, healing space for you and your family, and rediscover the joy God has waiting for you. Welcome to the Faith Over Addiction podcast. I'm Tanya Gioia, your host, and we have a very special guest today that I'm super excited about. Dr. Len Lopez. Now, he has some great things for you, so stay tuned all the way to the end because he has some very special opportunities for you. But professionally, he's a nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach, and a chiropractic sports physician. So, what he's going to talk about today affects all of us: how we sleep, how we think, how we eat, physical, what did I do today? And our spirit. As always, our identity is super important, and our spiritual understanding is of utmost importance. So, Dr. Len, tell us a little bit about your background and how you developed the 5 steps.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Tanya. And I'm glad to be here with you this morning. I always tell everybody about the last 25 years, I've been helping people learn how to eat right and train smart. And in those years, people came for me for diet tips, health tips, exercise tips, but What's funny is that when I talk, I always tell everyone, nobody ever comes to me because they are trying to, they come to me and they say, Doc, I'm here because my blood pressure, my cholesterol, my A1C. They don't come to me for that. They come to me seeking help because they want to look better, they want to feel better, they want to sleep better. And so, what's motivating people for in any direction, whether it's in your physical walk, in your spiritual walk, in your walk at work, you got to find out what's really the motivating factor. And as I would sit in my office when people would share with me their health and fitness concerns, right? They would share with me stuff, and then after like one or two, three visits, they just became more comfortable and would start sharing more things about what's going on in their life. And I'm not happy about this or this or this or this in their situation. And part of me wanted to say, just as far as being being an older guy that has a little bit of, I think I have a little common horse sense, right? And I go, well, no, 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 Len, this is your lane right here, the health and fitness here. Yeah, I think they need some kind of spiritual guidance or some mental guidance on there. And but it's like, well, now stay why they're paying you for your advice right now. And then I realized, okay, as I just started learning more and more, just doing more research and reading on my own, that the way we feed our body, health and fitness, right, is no different than the way we feed our mind, how we feed our spirit. Are we feeding it the stuff that's going to make us stronger, healthy, wealthy, and wise? Are we feeding our body, our mind, and our spirit ways that are going to make us more, doomed, dazed, and defeated? And it's all about choices. And so I tell everybody, life is all about choices. What kind of choices are you making? I mean, just like we talk, knowing that this is a Christian broadcast, you know, Adam and Eve, hey, you eat anything you want to, except stay away from that tree. That's a
Yes.
choice. What kind of choice do you want to make and everything? And so that's what life is all about.
You were talking before we got on, and, I wanna come back to Adam and Eve, but, you were talking before we got on is we've been told to go to the grocery store and stay on the outside, right? Go around the outside, get the fruits, the vegetables, the things that are healthy for us, and the chip aisle is not. What is the chip aisle in your brain when you are thinking poor things? What's happening?
Well, I mean, I love that because this is the way I try to frame it is that as an adult, when people would come to me concerned about their health, I go, hey, you got to walk through that grocery store. Yes, the great advice is, stay on the outside because that's more the real food stuff. But you still have to navigate through there and go through that cookie and chip aisle. And so when people would be, 50 pounds overweight trying to seek my help, I go, you're an adult. You make the choices. And I say that because I'm the older guy with younger kids, and my kids would always tell me when, as a teenager, Dad, we have the worst food here. No, we have good food. Oh, no, what you're saying, we don't have enough snacks and junk food and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Now, believe me, we have enough of ice cream and cookies and stuff like that. We just don't have a lot of it, right? So I'm trying to tell my kids that, life is about choice, or I would tell my patients, the same way you have to navigate through that cookie and chip aisle for your physical health. You have to navigate through that through your you have to navigate with your mental shopping cart what kind of thoughts you put into your mental shopping cart. And so according to research, they say that we process about 50,000 thoughts a day. What's really
Mm,
remarkable when I learned that is that they say that of the 50,000 thoughts that we process, is that 80% of our thoughts are slanted or geared towards yesterday, and they're negative. I mean, you're playing
mm,
reruns of old TV shows you didn't like. And so
mhm.
that's what we're doing to ourselves. And we let that we're putting those negative thoughts into our mental shopping cart. So you have to make a conscious effort to go from 80/20. If to use a simple analogy, 80% of your thoughts are more slanted negatively to 75/25. Can that make enough of a difference to where you walk around with a smile on your face, that you feel more jubilant, you feel more at ease about things because you just started shifting the flow a little bit, and that may be enough to turn the tide. And so, feeding the body is no different than feeding the mind and the spirit.
So we're naturally replaying that TV show we didn't want,
Right.
right? It's running through our head, "Oh gosh, it didn't go well with the kids yesterday, dinner was kind of a mess," all those types of things. What do we need to do to shift that thought? What's one simple thing that that woman who's listening to this today could do to begin to shift that thought?
It's about choices, right? And so I always tell them I created something years ago before the last 20 some odd years ago. I created something called 5 steps a day. It's just a simple way to track how your habits and attitudes. Are you feeding yourself the good stuff or not? Today, everybody's tracking their not everybody, but a lot of people are tracking their physical fitness with their watches and seeing if did they do enough steps today to get where they want to go.
Right.
Great thing. I think it's a good thing, right? But can we do the same thing to track how we feed our mind and our spirit? And so I created 5 steps a day, and it's just a simple way to track how you feed your body, mind, and spirit. And that's all it is. Let's talk. Let me set it up this way. I would tell everybody, did you do anything physical, right? Because we talked about this. If you did something physical today, shade in the P for the steps. Steps is an acronym for sleep, think, eat, physical, and spirit. If you
Mhm.
did something physical, you shaded into that P. Be happy. I'm not asking if it was a hard workout, long workout, medium workout, high intensity, low. Did you carve out some time to do something physical? Shade in the P. Did you eat right? The E, we'll get to the meaty stuff here. But did you eat right? Yeah, I ate more. I had 2 good meals and 1 not so good meal. Pat yourself on the back. 2 steps forward, right?
Right.
1 step back. You're still moving in the right direction. And I say that for some of your listeners who may be, who started a dieting program. And I say this because I've seen it. They'll start a dieting program and they may do well the first 4 days, 6 days, and all of a sudden they're out with their friends, birthday party, dinner, anniversary, something, and they just splurge it and knock it off. They fell off the wagon, so to speak.
Yes,
But the
yes.
problem is they stay out. Oh, I've been on my diet. I screwed up. Now everything's ruined. 2 steps forward and 1 step back still has you moving forward. Tomorrow's another day. Maybe you have a lot of people may have a good breakfast, right? They may
Mm,
have a fairly decent lunch and everything, but then they'll have dinner with their friends, a birthday party, an anniversary, Valentine's Day, right? Something happens to where it's going to take you off track. Hey, home runs are great, right? To use the baseball analogy, being a sports guy. But you can still win with base hits. So that's what we're trying to do. So again, what we're trying to do is improve our habits and attitude. And so the steps program, the E and the P is just designed when you look at your steps, you can just quickly see how good you're doing. Hey, I did good over this past week of the 35 potential steps I could have took this week. Yeah, it took 28 steps. Great. Pat yourself on the back, keep going. Oh, I didn't do so good. Gosh, I really kind of dropped the ball. I just kind of kept on finding just only took 10 steps forward. Well, whose fault is that? We tell as an adult with 3 teenage kids, I tell everybody, your life is all about choices. You get to choose which one you're going to put into your grocery cart. Are you going to carve out some time to do something physical? Are you going to take that extra time to make a better meal? That's for the physical body. And I know we want to talk more about the what we feed our mind, and
yeah,
it's the same thing. The letter T is for think. Did I think better today? I'm not
mhm,
asking you if you told yourself a bazillion times, I feel great, I can do it, I'm a winner. Whatever mantra that some people might want to choose. And we're all going to have different mantras, right?
right.
But of that 80-20 rule of mental thoughts out there, can we just start shifting it from 80-20 to 75-25? Can you take a minute here, a minute here, a minute here? Maybe that's just 3 minutes in the whole day, but you gave that self-talk, which may feel awkward, right? But people vacation by themselves, people diet by them, are trained by themselves, they sleep by themselves, they travel by themselves. It's okay to talk to yourself and give yourself I can do it, I feel better, that's a good job, keep it up. If you can do that a minute here, a minute here, a minute here, I don't you don't need in my opinion, you don't need to repeat a magic phrase a bazillion times. But
Right.
a minute here, a minute here, a minute here, 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, you're not kicking yourself in the rear about how you can't do it, how you suck, how you stink, and all this other kind of negative
Yes.
self-talk.
Yes. And part of it, I think, is becoming aware of what you are saying to yourself, things that you would never say to your best girlfriend, things that you would never say to your children. You say that ugly stuff. You're the mean girl to yourself. It's
Exactly, like you said, you have to be aware what you're doing. Life is all about choices. Are you making, I always say your habits and attitude are like your DNA. It's your genetic code, right? You can, trace your DNA. You can see where you came from. Trace back your habits and attitude, and you may see that those levels of achievement and accomplishment can be correlated to those better habits and attitudes you have. But
mhm.
by the same token, trace back your habits and attitude when you've had those challenges and those difficulties. Could it be that your habits and attitude weren't as good as they could have been, right? And who can you blame for that? We're not teenagers anymore, right? You're an adult, and so it's as I've tried to teach you, as I've learned, as my dad taught me, or my mom and dad kind of taught me and everything. But I learned a lot of this afterwards, right? My parents were your typical parents in the 50s, in the 60s that just, they just knew what they knew and everything. But,
Right.
life is all about choices. And, what kind of choices are you making? And all we're trying to say, it's a one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. Pretty soon you'll be showing a path of where you're going. And that's what's kind of unique about 5 steps, Tanya, is that, you know, journaling is great. And I've done tons of journaling, for 20 years. But my failure in journaling was I was never really good at going back and looking at what
Uh-uh.
I was writing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so it's like, what can I do for my patient? I used to tell some patients, hey, after we have our health and fitness consultation, and everything, hey, this week you have an opportunity to take 21 steps towards better health. 3 meals a
Mm.
day, 7 days a week, 21 steps. Did I expect anybody to take 21 steps? It would be great, but I really didn't expect them to. But what I was trying to drive home to them was, hey, if we can get 17, 18 steps in the right direction, 17, 18 meals that could qualify as a decent good meal, as opposed to 12 good meals and 9 bad meals for the week. That's not going to get you where you want to go. And so it's
Mhm.
choices. And as I'm sure we know, as a parent, you try to teach your kids to make better choices. And so as an adult, you're the one responsible for what you put into your grocery shopping cart. You're the one responsible to put in what in your mental shopping cart. So it's just life is choices.
Absolutely. And I was just gonna share with you, so I had a really hard project at work this week, a surprise one, and I am standing at my desk before I need to do this, saying, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." It wasn't perfect. It didn't come off as well as I wanted, but just by saying positive things to myself, whatever your positive things are, I was able to go in with confidence and do what I needed to do. And I believe that's what you're saying about the meals and the exercise is how we set ourselves up lets us take the first step, lets us move forward rather than backwards. Now you were
What,
talking
what,
about
what
Adam and Eve and their choice. Now they made a choice that caused them some struggle, but they were forgiven afterward. Now, how do we do self-forgiveness?
That's just to recognize that tomorrow's another day in your journey for better health, wealth, and happiness. Or as I like to say, making yourself bigger, better, bolder for tomorrow over your giants. And so, yeah, I want to go back to what we're talking when you talked about what you had to do for yourself to say, hey, I can do this, right? And that's all we're trying to do. How much are you feeding your conscious mind? The thought that you feed, the thought that you think, feed your conscious mind the same way the food you consume feed your physical body. That scripture teaches, you reap what you sow. So what kind of thoughts are you sowing for yourself? Researchers say, as I think we said, we process about 50,000 thoughts a day, right? And 80% of them are going to be slanted negatively. I don't know how much it's going to take to go from 80/20 to 82 or to go to 78-22, right? But you
Mhm.
have to put some effort in, and there's some responsibility on our part. It was
Mhm.
responsible, Adam and Eve, to not to eat from the tree of life, right? And so this is where we have to be at. Who are you going to hold responsible? That's somebody else. It's the reason I'm overweight, struggling, depressed, anxious, whatever it may be. It's you. I try to teach my kids whose fault is that. So you have to take responsibility. And what you were saying a minute ago, as far as what am I going to do? I tell everybody when you wake up in the morning, this is the think step, basically. When you wake up in the morning and you roll out of bed, how long does it take you after your feet hit the ground before you tell yourself anything positive for yourself? Whether you know where you want to go or not, or just, I'm going to have a great day. Life is good. I feel better. Do you not tell yourself that until after you go to the bathroom? After you go took a
Mm.
shower,
Yeah.
after you let the dogs out, after you drove to work, took the kids to school, after you got to the office, after lunch, when are you reminding yourself, "I feel good, I feel great, God loves me, I can do it, I can do all things through
Mhm.
Christ who strengthens me." So, what are you feeding yourself? Those are conscious choices. And again, a minute here, a minute here, a minute here may turn into 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to say, hey, can we move the needle to here, to make ourselves, healthy, wealthy, and wise, bigger, better, bolder, whatever you want to say.
Right.
But it's a choice, and you can't blame anybody, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not going to say everybody, but you have to. You're responsible for yourself and everything. Once you get past, as I say, after 18, after you get out of college, whenever it is, you have to start doing things and make choices for yourself. Do I buy this car that's going to put me $30,000 for over debt, or do I buy a used car that I can afford and to pay off in 6 months? Those are all choices we make, with not just financial, but for personal choices, spiritual choices. And so it's up to us to decide which choices we're going to make.
Let's get really intense. So, I'm living with someone who is doing behavior that is costing me money, time, energy, spiritual exhaustion. I am an adult. I have children to take care. Well, we have children to take care of, or one of the children is behaving this way. How am I going to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm important too? I can make decisions for myself. It's almost like the plane that's in the nosedive and wants to pull up. What's the first step they could start with?
Well, you got to believe in yourself, right? You have to believe in yourself that you can handle the situation that got through in front of you. And God puts us, He gives us choices, right? What do we do with those choices? Kind of like Job, he had a bunch of choices, right? And he stuck with he goes, I'm doing everything right and everything. I'm making the right choices. And he didn't know he was being tested, right? And so, yeah, the
Right.
same way maybe you're being like Job, being tested, so you have to make those conscious decisions. And it's the hard part, and here's what even makes it, to get into slanted a little bit what we're talking about. If you're also eating the wrong foods, that's not going to help it either, because if you're eating too many carbs, too many processed, refined carbohydrates, also, brain doesn't function nearly as well. Right. And so that they both kind of feed into each other.
You're creating that cycle because you feel better for what? What they say, the 10, 20 minutes after eating the carbs, and then
Right.
you feel worse. So it is that cycle, and I like where you're talking about Job, because Job's friends came to him and said, "No, you're wrong. You sinned somewhere." And oftentimes in an addiction situation, you've got people around you who are giving you information that is not helpful, that is destructive to what you are trying to move forward with. Let's talk a little bit. We've talked about food. Let's talk a little bit about sleep.
Right. The first step in the 5 steps is sleep. And I tell everybody, ask yourself when you in the morning, right? Did I sleep and dream good thoughts? Did I sleep and dream about my tomorrow? If you did, shade in that first S. Now think about what I'm asking you. Did I sleep and dream good thoughts? What do you mean, Doc? Did you fall asleep with a smile on your face? I always say, with a smile on your face, because you saw where you want to go and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they fall asleep just scrolling their with the remote control in their hand. They fall asleep with their cell phone in the hand. What kind of thoughts are they putting into their head when they let their subconscious do all the thinking? My wife
Mm.
always tells me, you need to think before you talk sometimes, when we're in her social setting. But you need to think about it. And so, what do we say? We know not to. Most people know you shouldn't eat junky food before going to bed, right?
Mm.
Well, it's the same thing. What kind of thoughts are you feeding your subconscious mind when you go to sleep? Are you thinking
Mm.
about the worry, fear, and the anxiety of tomorrow's next day? Or are you going to sleep with a smile on your face because you're thinking about a goal you have next week, next month, the year? Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe the weight loss diet you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to do good on a test, on a report, a presentation. You're doing an audition. You're going to be speaking in front of the boss, right? What can you visually see you there doing something, and the boss out there say, "Hey, that was a great job. You did fantastic out there, Tanya. I'm gonna give you that corner office now." What can you when you go to sleep at night? Can you close your eyes? And that's why I call sleep with a smile. Can you close your eyes and visually think of what goal you want to have? And I say it that way because, guys, and this is a challenge for a lot of people. If you can't imagine your dreams coming true with your eyes closed, how much harder is it going to be to reach those goals and dreams with your eyes wide open?
Mm.
So figure out what it is. If you don't know where your proverbial land of milk and honey is, don't complain if you arrive at the land of heartaches and headaches. And that's what happened for so many people. We all know what the proverbial land of milk and honey is. Sometimes it's some great destination for us. But if you don't know where that's at, it's easy to get for the wind to be in your face and move you in a different direction. But
Right.
if you know what your goals and dreams are, and again, your goals and dreams can be a day away. You're taking the test. You're going to be doing an interview. You're going to be making a big presentation at work, whatever that may be. But if you know where it is you want to go, you can fight through those headwinds. Unfortunately, a lot of people, that's not taught in the education system
Mm.
about thinking about your goals and dreams and stuff like that. But as you get out into the real world and start competing for positions and jobs, what are you competing for? Oh, well, I don't want to compete and everything. Guy, that's what, if you want to get to a certain level of whatever you're trying to achieve in life, you have to know where you want to go. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have a dream board, right? And
Mm.
I tell everybody, right, if you're listening to this right now, you don't have to know what you need, have a dream board for yourself or know where you want to go. You can still ready the ship to sail. And what I mean by that, you can go to sleep just reminding yourself that, hey, I feel great. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Just words of encouragement to make you stronger. Hopefully, soon enough, you'll have something to shoot for, something to think about. And again,
Yeah.
it could be 5 years down the road. It could be a year down the road. It could be just a week down the road. But if you can visualize that thing, and I always kind of, not always, but I'll share this. I always tell about as my life, because I was kind of late to get married. I've had
Mhm.
27 some odd year, 27, yeah, 27 good, 27 good years, right? With the same woman. And so but it was like, I got married later in life, and it was like, gosh, what's going on? And so I used to visualize that at nighttime. I would sit myself, after I'd say my prayers and everything, I'd sit there and start just visually focus on what I would see. And lo and behold, about 3 years later, 4 or 5 years later, my marriage is exactly the way I was visualizing. I would see this woman at the back of the church, the glass behind her, the sun coming in,
Yeah.
kind of like a
Yeah.
Blues Brothers episode. But I would see her out there. I could see my clothes, I could see my parents down there, my friends, my family down there, and I could just see this woman, in that white, beautiful dress sitting there, the veil over her face. And then, as I like to tell the story, then she would run down the hall, down the aisle, saying, "Yes, yes, yes." But it pretty much happened exactly that way, except the last part.
Except for the running, right?
She slowly walked down there, still
It's
toying with
really
me.
hard in those dresses to run.
But what I'm trying to share with you and your audience is, guys, you have to know where you want to go. And again, don't feel bad if you don't know where you want to go today. Small steps. What are you trying to achieve? Maybe 3 days. There's something out there. If you can fall asleep and feed your subconscious mind something that you want to see happen in 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. If it's health and fitness, something that I think we can all understand is that, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. If you can see yourself, on the, end of the month, hey, the scale is the number you're looking for, right? Or the size outfit you're trying to fit into, whatever it may be. But you have to give yourself those little things. Let that subconscious mind. And here's what's beautiful about the subconscious mind. We live with the subconscious mind ruling us for about a third of our life, right? Because we
Mm.
spend about 7, 8 hours of sleep. And so we're just trying to activate that for you, right? But when you go to sleep at night, and if you can visualize that dream, let's say you want a new car, you want that corner off, you want to do good when you get up on stage, make it perform or speak or whatever it may. If you can see that outcome, and as you start focusing on it with your eyes closed and just visualize it, within about 30 seconds and 45 seconds, the image will get a little bit more vivid. And as it gets a little bit more vivid, you'll start noticing a little smile growing on your face.
Uh-huh.
And as that image gets bigger and more defined and more refined, and you can see it strong, more vividly in your mind, that smile grows bigger. And so sometimes I'll be at nighttime, it's like, gosh, I can't believe how strong this smile is going in my face. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get our subconscious mind, feed your body the stuff that you feed your mind, the stuff that's going to move you where you want to go. Yes, you have to figure out where you want to go. Well, I can't help you with that. So, guys, this is where we become adults. You have to figure out where it is you want to go
Yeah.
in for body, for mind, in your spiritual walk. And so, again, hopefully 5 steps a day is just a simple way to start tracking how you feed your body, mind, and spirit. We didn't even get
Learning
to the
from
spirit
you.
step.
Oh, you share with us a little bit more about that.
Hey guys, and I know your audience is more in tune with our spirit, working our spiritual muscle, the way I like to call it, right? And what I
Mhm.
what I learned for myself 30, 40 years ago, that because my walk has gone full circle, right?
Mm.
And so when I came back around, I said, okay, I need to start working my spiritual muscles. I can always find ways to exercise. I can run, lift weights, bikes, various things to help my physical body. Oh, I used to think, well, the only way I'm going to work my spiritual muscle, I need to either read or attend
Mhm.
service. And then I
Mhm.
realized, hey, again, this is back like in the 80s, right? And so I'm going, hey, when I get in my car, I could just, hit the FM or AM button. Hey, there's a pastor out there sharing his word out there. There's the
Mm.
music out there. And you don't know what words may be said, but sometimes you may realize, well, is he speaking to me? Oh,
Yeah.
what I just got through here. But there's other ways to work your spiritual muscles. And I like to believe to neglect your spirit is like skipping a meal. It leaves you empty. So you need to work them, whether you just like exercise, whether you want to work your spiritual muscles by reading. Maybe you want to attend service. You can't attend service every day. You can also serve. You can fellowship with others, right? That's another way to help strengthen your spiritual muscles, as well as podcasts. Everybody has these little gadgets in their hands now.
Yes.
You can find a podcast you want to listen to. You can listen to music, because you never know what words are going to in that song. Maybe just that little church inside you today. Maybe, who
Yes.
knows, but there's something that's going to move you. And that's how you strengthen your spiritual muscles. And the more you strengthen your spiritual muscles, I mean, you can't be spiritually strong if you only work your spiritual muscles once a week, once a month, twice a year. But a
Mhm.
lot of people think that they are by doing it that way. As a guy in the health and fitness, if I just worked out once a month, I don't think I'd have
No.
the physical strength to deal with that. And so it's kind of the same layout. Are you eating? How are you feeding your body, mind, and spirit? I hope your only can try check out 5 steps a day. It's a simple way to help you track how you're doing, and hopefully improve. Something about visually seeing how many steps you take each day, each week is kind of especially for those visual and kinesthetic learners who just can't learn by
Right.
reading another book on
Uh-huh.
habits and attitude. There's something about just seeing, hey, as my dad would say, are you doing what you need to be doing to get where you want to go? You know,
Well, and it's a companion too, because I love what you're saying about feeding your spirit, walking outside in nature, because God created nature. Walking at all does does both things. Plus worship. I think worship has been super powerful in my life, in my mom's life as well, in that just turning on some praise music. You don't have to feel like it. It just lifts the whole spirit right there. So thank you for bringing that back in. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miss it, but I'm sorry I missed it. That's all in the app. So unlike just getting a count your calories app or how many steps app, we're getting all five things in it. And so the website is 5steps.com. Is that correct? Have I got
Click
that?
in there. There's also a teen young adult version if whoever your audience is, because a difference between the teen and the adult version, the steps are the same but different. I mean, teens aren't thinking about blood pressure and cholesterol and weight
Mhm.
loss and all that kind of stuff. Maybe after about 25, 30, you may, really, it's really after about 35 when the hormones shift that you start
Mhm.
thinking about those things. So that's why I say it's more of a teen adult. What do you eat to really get the most out of your day, out of your mind and everything?
Mhm. Mhm. I know I have an 18-year-old fixing to graduate, and that's what we've been working on. Is I don't know if you've been to some of these colleges lately, but they are like a whole food court. And I looked at him and I said, "You're going to have to continue." He makes really good choices now, but his like your house, my house is limited in what I bring in it, right? But now, this fall, he's going to have that decision to make. So, what a great app to be able to say, okay, today I did eat donuts and pizza. What do I want to do tomorrow?
Right. Right. But yeah, well, I think we have a little bit of similarity because yeah, I have two 18-year-olds getting ready to go to college next year.
Oh
So
my
we're
goodness.
doing all that stuff that you're doing as well. And it's just, yeah, we're going to these food courts and it's like all I can hear is, Dad, I need more money on my card. I need more money on my card.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, for giving up part of your Valentine's Day. I hope you and your family have a wonderful day today. And again, you can find Dr. Len Lopez at 5steps.com. There's a free app, so look for it and download it. And this is a
Five,
simple way.
5stepsaday.com.
5stepsaday.com. Sorry. We'll put that in the notes, of course. And this is a simple way to get started. We often say, oh, it's just too hard. This is not hard. You have a phone. You can download the app. You can take some steps. So, Dr. Lopez, thank you so much for being here today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Faith Over Addiction podcast. Remember, nothing changes until something changes. Today is your day to step out in faith and make a difference. You are a daughter of the King, a woman who can spark incredible ripple effects of hope and healing, not just in your own life, but in your family, your community, and God's kingdom. If this episode encouraged you, bless someone else by sharing it. Send it to a friend who needs a little hope or post it on Instagram and tag me. I'd love to hear what resonated most with you. And hey, if you're ready to reclaim your God-given identity and create a safe, loving space for yourself and those you care about, let's talk. Book a quick call with me today, and I'd love to hear your story and help you take the next step. Oh, and don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts, search for Faith Over Addiction, and leave me a review. Your feedback not only makes my day, but helps other women find this podcast and step into freedom too. You are strong, you are loved, and the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Until next time, keep walking boldly into the life God has for you.